Hey guys, DC Network here, coming at you with another video. If you look around animation today, there's been a lot of reboots and revivals happening lately. You look at Teen Titans Season 6 possibly coming, Star Wars The Clone Wars just got revived, Samurai Jack last year, there's going to be a Rugrats reboot, the Ben 10 reboot, Powerpuff Girls reboot, the list goes on and on. Which made me start to question, is it possible that we could get a revival of the original Ben 10 timeline? Now, to clarify, I'm not saying the original Ben 10 itself. I'm just saying the original Ben 10 timeline, meaning Ben 10, Ben 10 Alien Force, Ultimate Alien Omniverse, so there would be a fifth iteration of Ben 10 in that universe, basically, so not including the reboot. So what I'm thinking of is, a Ben 10,000 or something of that sort. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking, Cartoon Network and Man of Action, they are focused on the reboot. There is no way we're going to be getting a Ben 10,000 or another Ben 10 show in the original Ben 10 universe. Well, there is a possibility that could happen, because the Ben 10 reboot isn't going to last forever. It's going to end eventually. It's not going to be a Cartoon Network show that's been on for 10 years straight. They're not going to do that. It's not going to last that long. And some of you may also be saying, yeah, well, when it ends, they're going to do a new iteration of, the Ben 10 reboot, basically a sequel to the reboot. So, yeah, that's possible. It could very likely be the case that they do that, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do. But there's also the possibility that there could be two Ben 10 shows at once. There's a possibility that they decide to just ditch the reboot after it ends and not continue that timeline. There's many different possibilities for the future of Ben 10. I doubt that Ben 10 would end after the reboot concludes. I don't think that's going to happen. It's too big of a franchise for it to just end after a reboot. That's why I'm thinking it's possible that we would get a fifth iteration of Ben 10 in the original timeline. It doesn't have to be Ben 10,000. It could be Ben in his 20s. It could be Ben in his 30s. It could be whatever they want it to be, honestly. It doesn't matter, because they know that fans want this. They know it would make money. If people hear, hey, Ben 10's coming back, oh, but I thought Ben 10's on right now with the reboot. No, the real Ben 10 is coming back. Everyone will lose their minds. They will be so hyped that they basically would have to do absolutely nothing. By just saying that the original Ben 10 timeline is coming back, everyone's going to lose their minds. It could be awful, and people will still lose their minds about it. Obviously, we don't want it to be awful. I don't think it would be awful, but nonetheless, just by saying Ben 10 returns in the original timeline, everyone will lose their minds. Now, why would this happen? If they're focusing on the reboot and they're going to make a sequel to the reboot, why would they decide to go back to the original timeline? Because animators aren't stupid. They know what fans want. Even though right now we're getting something in the reboot that obviously most fans do not want, they know that there's different demographics for their franchise. They know that there's a younger demographic that may enjoy the Ben 10 reboot, and then they know that there's an older demographic who is really hoping for a new iteration in the original Ben 10 timeline. Like I said before, they could do the best of both worlds, make a sequel to the reboot for the kids who love the reboot, and then make a sequel to Ben 10 Omniverse for the people who love the original Ben 10 timeline. Basically, what I'm trying to get at, even though Ben 10 right now is basically solely focused on the reboot, doesn't mean that in 5 years from now that's going to be the same case. Just because they're on a reboot right now doesn't mean that they couldn't bring back the original timeline in 5 years, or could do two timelines at once. I know what some of you may be thinking, Christina Miller is never going to go for this. Well, she doesn't need to be involved in this, quite frankly. It could go on, most likely, honestly, it would go on Adult Swim. It wouldn't be on Cartoon Network. So basically you would have Ben 10 on Cartoon Network, the reboot, and then you would have Ben 10, let's just for the sake of this video, Ben 10,000 on Adult Swim. Who knows if that would even be what we get next, even though that makes the most sense. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that this is going to happen in the next year. I'm not saying it's going to happen in the next 2 years. It may happen within the next 3 years, but honestly, I don't know. I don't have the answer to this, when this would happen, if it does indeed happen. All I'm telling you is that I truly believe that the original Ben 10 timeline is not over. They're not ending it with Omniverse. I think that one day, with or without Christina Miller at the helm at Cartoon Network, she may be gone at that point, and we may have another president who decides, hey, you know what, let's bring back the original Ben 10. One day it's going to happen. I'm telling you, one day there will be a new show that is featured in the original timeline of Ben 10. Not to mention, Man of Action on their website, they do a lot of Q&As with fans and stuff throughout every month, I believe. I'm not exactly sure. I don't visit their website too often. But I saw that on May 6th, they were being asked a lot of questions about Alien X's species. And one of the questions they answered with like an answer about the species and whatnot, and then at the end they said we have to leave some surprises to the future, so we can't answer this question in full. Something to that extent. They didn't exactly say it like that, but something to that extent. Now, why would they be saying they need to leave some surprises for Alien X's species for the future? Like, what are they holding it back for? The original Ben 10 timeline is dead as we know of right now. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it is possible that Alien X would be coming to the Ben 10 reboot. I'm not saying that's not off the tables. That could possibly be what they're talking about. But what I'm thinking is that potentially, in the back of their minds, one day they would like to continue the original timeline. If they get someone who's okay with doing that, say the next president of Cartoon Network or whoever's in charge at Adult Swim, then maybe it could happen. All I'm saying is that keep your hopes up for the original Ben 10 coming back. If you want, you could tweet at Man of Action telling them you would like to see the original Ben 10 timeline return, and maybe one day it will actually happen. As you saw with the Clone Wars, if fans want something enough and they let the animators know they want it enough, it will eventually come to fruition. Anyways, let me know in the comment section below if you believe it's possible for the original Ben 10 timeline to return, or if you think all this is just nonsense. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.